It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Joe Walsh getting every drop of juice from the orange on that one. My God, what a fade. Just going on and on. Every now and again, I have to remind myself, life's been good is like it's like an opus.
Yeah.
It's a box set in one song. Go figure.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning. It's Wednesday, May 22nd. Hope everybody's okay. Rough night of storms last night all across a wide region. If you lost power, chances are you got it back now. Last report I saw this is going back a few hours. I haven't seen an update, but we were down to just a few hundred people without power in the metro area. By now, I imagine just about everybody's back up and running. Which is, if that's the worst you got from the storm, you got to feel pretty good. A few towns in Iowa just got absolutely run over by tornadoes last night. It's a horrible situation down south, which is we have this conversation every spring. It doesn't make it any – just because we're used to it doesn't mean it's not horrific. And, man, my heart goes out to everybody who's suffering down in Iowa. There's a lot of towns, Greenfield especially, that just got all but obliterated. Literally, there's no other way to describe it.
Yeah.
Whole towns kind of pushed off the map. Having seen that happen down south for years, and where I hail from in Kentucky, over the last 4 years, two sets of tornadoes have done the same things. Little towns right near where I grew up, kind of off the map. It's a long, long recovery process, as you might imagine, and my heart goes out to everybody who's impacted by that. And I'm hoping, against all logic, that this is a very brief storm season and that we get on past it. But it looks like this is just the beginning of a pretty rough week, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we've had them growing up in South Dakota. We had some that came through. They would suck houses away. You'd go out there to somebody's place where maybe a family of three was living. Never experienced any deaths in the area, which made it more awesome. And as in the, dictionary meaning of the word awesome.
Yeah, awe-inspiring, overwhelming.
Yeah, just overwhelming. There would only be this. It looked like they came out and just poured the cement for the basement. That's all that was left.
God, they would disintegrate.
Yeah, it would be out in the trees, out in the field, miles away. Vehicles up in trees.
So wild.
Yeah. I have a picture of a sedan still. It's about 20, 30 feet up in a tree. So crazy. But I like to sit out on the porch when these things come through. Not the tornadoes, but the big thunder boomers like we had last night. That's that nature. You can't throw a 4th of July fireworks spectacular like nature can throw down.
No, you certainly cannot do that. There's going to be some, how about this for an awfully brutal segue? Some serious fireworks in the Twin Cities tonight. The Twins themselves moving the time of their first pitch from 7:10 back to 6:10 in order to help the downtown zoo a little bit, get ready for the Minnesota Timberwolves Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals tonight. First things first. Either one of you guys got $3,600 you can loan me.
Yeah, no, I'll Tony, if you can pick up $29.90 of that.
All right, I want it to be a gift. No loan, mister.
Oh, you're the bestest, Tony. You're the bestest.
I'm going to mess up your hair.
You need some cocaine?
I am looking. I am on Ticketmaster as we speak. And, you can get in the upper decks of the Target Center for just a few $100. But if you want to be down close to the action, you better be prepared to, as they say, slap leather. Tickets are going berserk. I can only imagine if they do beat the Mavericks in this series what the finals tickets will be. But a buddy of mine sent me a link last night. And he was like, hey, good news. Courtside are still available. They were $5,000 each.
Oh, good.
As long as rich people get to experience this, that's what I want. Rich people watching rich people play a game. Now
what about the rich people? Yeah. Well, who's going to think of the rich people? There's a very rich man who will be playing in the game tonight. I did not realize this until this morning. Rudy Gobert is the highest paid player still on the court in the playoffs with his $41 million he earned this season. He is, of the 4 teams remaining, he's numero uno. But now he's, and he is in the top 15. He's the 13th highest paid player in the league this year. The first 12 all sitting at home, much like we are, although they're in a better position
Much
as far as
better
trying to
home,
scalp tickets and a nicer home. Why would they want to buy tickets when they live in such an opulent setting as I can imagine? But Rudy, congrats on the $41 million. Congrats on the baby. Now block some shots, dude. Do what we brought you in here to do, and let's get this series off on the right foot. It's gonna be fascinating. It's one thing to go knock off the defending champs. It's another thing to then come home and have 2 days of everyone you've ever met telling you you're amazing. So let's see how this team responds.
Yeah, can't wait.
It's going to be a very, very exciting night. And as I said, if you're going to see the Twins, heads up, the game will start earlier than scheduled. They moved it back an hour. The vibe at the Target Field / Target Center, Crossroads is going to be outstanding tonight. My gosh, how much fun is that going to be? Worth going out and just hanging out around outside the arena. They've got some screens set up. A lot of people at the local, it's going to be a vibe, even whether you're in the building or not. Very, very exciting time. Charles Barkley is in town, for God's sakes.
Of course he is.
He's landed. He's been shown.
He brought his ass.
Who was it? You guys said, who's that in the photo with Charles Barkley?
Well, that's our buddy, Amy Mousy.
Amy.
Wow.
Yeah.
She used to work here
Looking
in
good.
Promotions.
Fantastic.
She's
Gray suits her. I like that.
pretty gal.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. I spent a lot of the day yesterday talking with both of my children. What about? Well, I say children. They're 23 and 21. Summer job time is upon them. The pressure to try to find gainful employment while they're whiling away. My daughter looking at a gig at a coffee shop in Virginia. That's very promising.
Yeah.
Close to home. My son, who's taken a couple of online courses and preparing for the rest of his life. He's off campus. He's got 2 online courses. Then he's officially done. He's like, yeah, I was looking at this place, and then I was looking at that place, and then I'm thinking about this. And I'm like, dude, just DoorDash. Do something. I don't care what it is. Figure it out. Got me thinking, this is the time to line up those summer jobs.
Oh, God, I better get busy.
Man, I've had a few. Way fewer awful circumstances than many, I'm sure. But when I hear the word summer job, even more than the jobs themselves, I just think of that stress, that anxiety that I used to feel every May.
Did you?
Oh God, I got to find a job.
All right.
Oh, what's it gonna be? Anyway, we can take a look at the hellscape that is landing a summer job as a youth. We'll dig into that in just a minute. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Wednesday, May 22nd. Good morning. Oh, what are we, 12, 13 hours away from Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals? I cannot wait. I mentioned earlier the Twins are pushing their first pitch back. That's Friday, not today. That's how excited I am. I'm already putting the Twins in town tonight, even though they're in Washington playing a day game. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
I'm just looking forward to going downtown and seeing a bunch of people. It'll happen on Friday. We'll get there eventually. It's May 22nd, which means summer for a lot of people is already here, but if not yet, it's right around the corner. I mentioned I was on the phone yesterday with my daughter a good bit. She's got a gig. She's trying to line up for the summer working at a coffee shop, and she's discussing it as if it's like an opportunity with NASA.
Yeah.
I'm like, babe, they're going to teach you how to make the latte and the cappuccino, and most of the people that come in there won't know the difference. You're fine. Just put a lid on it and don't worry about it. I order those things, and I never look in to see if it's exactly right. I've been drinking that crap for 40 years. I don't know what they are. Just give me some caffeine.
I think you're the exception of the rule. My daughter was a barista through college, and those folks that walk into the coffee shops take their coffee drinks very seriously. Yeah,
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I mean, they can be a pain, but yeah, you're right.
She's in a small, sleepy college town in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. It's hot in the summer.
Nice, yeah.
Just throw ice in there, whatever. But the point is, she's really taking it seriously, which I guess is a good thing.
Yeah.
The work you do is a legacy and whatnot, and all the stuff you're supposed to say as a parent. But I'm like, yeah, come on, whatever, get over it. The summer job thing can be stressful. The worst. My first official summer job, and this is a good thing looking back, was actually my worst official summer job, too. Summer of 1983, I graduate high school. I had jobs the previous summers, but it was like paper route. I worked for my family's restaurant, which that's not a job. That's indentured servitude. That was a whole different thing. No pay. I just got room and board, apparently, when I was 16 to work at a restaurant that was failing.
Intern.
Yeah, that's what it was. I spent the summer of '83 at working a landscaping job. Mm-hmm. Now, minimum wage at that time, I think, was $3.25 or $3.35 an hour. And this was $6 or $7 an hour. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's go. And when I say it was my worst summer job, it was for 2 weeks until they fired me.
How's a young man get fired from landscaping? They need him so desperately. You're a plow horse, for God's sake.
Well, that's the problem. I wasn't. I thought I was. It's the hardest I had ever or have ever worked.
Yeah.
And I was just getting lapped by a bunch of men on the crew. Like
real men.
Yeah, real men. Like late 20s, early 30s, even up into the mid 30s. They could dig a hole way faster than I could. And they could dig the next hole faster. And they just worked their asses off from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. every day. And I was just like, whoa. Is there water breaks? What's happening here? I was in no way prepared for that level of manual labor.
We need people behind the counter, too. You know, it takes all kinds.
Man, it was, I went into that job just on fire. Like, oh my God, I'm going to put away so much money. I mean, this is going to be amazing. I might even be able to get a car out of this. And 2 weeks, my second Friday, I go in there. The guy hands me a check for a fortune and says, we're going to have to let you go.
Bye-bye.
And it was just, and I've never felt more conjoined relief and sadness at the same time. Just, oh no, thank God.
Yes, exactly. Where's that couch at? Yeah. I mean, it was, when you talked about making more money, that always comes with the catch, and you figure that out very quickly when you're young. Mm-hmm. I had a job where I got paid $800 cash a week in an envelope. I'm like, it's the same thing. I'm going to retire after this job. And it was a summer job, only lasted for about 6 weeks. And that was the one I've been talking about a little bit earlier this week and at other times, skinning beavers, insert snicker.
Wow.
But yeah, that was and I sat out there as beavers were boiling in a big pot over there, and you're skinning beavers under the hot sun. And they use them for trapping scents and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, I made a buttload of cash and dreaded every moment of it. Yeah. Couldn't wait until it was over.
I worked at a loading dock over the summer one time, and it physically most exhausting thing I've ever done in my life. My friends started calling me hermit because I couldn't do anything at night. I couldn't move.
That sucks when you have a job. And I remember that you're exactly right. For only 2 weeks, but every night I got home and I just went to bed. Mm-hmm. I was like, shower and sleep. My mom's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm either going to die or I'm going to be the most buff member of this family that anyone's ever seen. There's a great article where people were describing their worst summer job in 6 words. I didn't have one for landscaping. The worst job I had for a summer that lasted the whole summer. It wasn't so much a difficult job, but it was mind-numbingly mundane and boring, and that was working at a grocery store in the produce section. And here's my 6-word poem about my worst summer job. Produce section, missed Live Aid, damn it. That's my poem. I'm the only guy on earth who didn't see any of Live Aid because there was a 4 a.m. semi-tractor trailer of fruit and veg delivered that I had to unload. So the London Live Aid, I missed the entire thing. I'm there from like 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then I get home, and then the Philadelphia Live Aid is up and running. But I was so exhausted, I slept through most of that. And then I've spent the last 40 years going, man, that Live Aid must have been something, huh?
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, well, it looks pretty good in hindsight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's, I don't know, you missed the Live Aid, but look at all the life experience you compiled working in the produce section.
I can pretend to tell you what is ripe and ready to be eaten. I'm great at faking that with any number of fruit and vegetable items. Here's a 6-word summation of the worst summer job ever. A guy named Armin wrote, sold frozen yogurt, lost a finger.
There's no possible way you can do that. You can't lose a finger serving frozen yogurt. You have to go outside the lines. You have to go out into the tulips to get that done. What could possibly? There's nothing to cut.
Now, here's another one that Tony can relate to. Temp job, clown at waterbed store.
What?
Tony, you've worn a costume or two in your time.
I've been a singing cowboy.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, a toy store. I had a neighbor who was a clown, and you would see he would come outside dressed in full clown gear, get on his bike, and head off to work every day.
He didn't come home with a garbage bag full of human body parts, I hope.
He's also the same guy who got in trouble with management there because he wanted to grow corn right on the property of the apartment building.
All right.
And they said no, and he was an angry clown.
Really?
Angry clown. Something about dressing up that makes you angry. I had to dress up as the skunk to hand out cream soda at the mall. I did that. Kelly here, we have a KQ Facebook post. Kelly worked at a historic site where she dressed up as a bison and had to be chased by hordes of 5-year-olds in a bison hunt every day. And once after being killed in the bison hunt, she was breathing too heavy from running, and one of them yelled, "It's alive," and punched her in the face. Repeat every day. Back in the bison outfit, Kelly. Get out there. It's today's bison hunt.
Oh, that is fantastic.
That's earning it.
651-989 is the KQ Talk and text line. Give us a shout or shoot us a text. Let us know worst summer job. In the meantime, we've got to prepare ourselves momentarily for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Hey, this is KQ Morning Show. I'm Steve Gorman. It is time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Just about time. Sorry to interrupt, Steve. We just realized that I was sent yesterday's report again, Tuesdays.
Oh, boy.
And we just realized it here as we're about ready to fire away, and Tony Lee is tap dancing.
Here we go.
Hey, give it up, up. KQRS, here is your report for Wednesday. Wednesday report, here we go. Hey, good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Zeb, and Steve, and Tony. Hope everybody's doing great. It is hump day. Did you go to Marcus Theaters yesterday? Huh? Every Tuesday, $6 for any movie at Marcus Theaters. If you didn't, write it down for next Tuesday. And get ready for some great movies coming out this weekend that you can go see at Marcus. I'll be telling you about on Friday. On a serious note, Britney Spears' family is pushing for another conservatorship. They say they are seriously worried about her safety. Meanwhile, Britney is constantly on the move, on the road, kind of hard to reach. So when Matthew Perry was found dead in his hot pool October 28th last year, a detailed autopsy was done, and the official cause of death was drug overdose, and the drug ketamine considered the main cause. Well, at the time I wondered, where did he get the drug ketamine? I mean, it's not like a street drug like cocaine. It's a very strong anesthetic, mainly used in hospitals. Well, now we know that the United States Postal Service, the FBI, the DEA, and the Los Angeles Police Department, they've been wondering the same thing, and they've been investigating. And a warrant could soon be issued for wrongful death to whomever supplied the ketamine to Matthew Perry. Stay tuned. TV news, Steve Carell has signed to do a 10-episode comedy for HBO. Really not much known about it, what it's about, except it will be set at a university where Steve is a professor, and there are complications because of his crazy, out-of-control daughter, who is a student at the same university. Sounds kind of good. 2 more reality shows green-lighted by ABC, The Golden Bachelor, and no surprise, The Golden Bachelorette. Ooh, I can hardly wait. Not. More TV green lights. I am excited. Only Murders in the Building for Season 4. Legally Blonde, a prequel from the movie that will soon be an Amazon series. And while the series will not include Reese Witherspoon as part of the cast, she is the producer. A little bit of a different nugget for you this morning. With Memorial Day Monday coming up and summer vacations, people planning their vacations for summer right around the corner, once in a while I'll be giving you some ideas and suggestions. Universal Studios in Orlando, which I recommend over Disney World in Orlando, have some new attractions, starting with what they say is a first-of-a-kind family roller coaster called Mine Cart Madness. Mine Cart Madness. And there's also the new Donkey Kong Country and the exciting Super Nintendo World. And be aware of a vacation advisor out there, a company called Dive In Travel, who say the best beach, certainly in Southern California and maybe in the country, is Venice Beach. Well, actually, that's the worst beach, certainly in Southern California, maybe in the country. I mean, there's no parking, traffic, crime, homelessness, just to name a few reasons why it's the worst. In fact, the LAPD have their own offices and their own people there just to patrol Venice Beach. It's so dangerous. It's called the Pacific Division. Redondo, Hermosa, Santa Monica, Newport, Huntington beaches, I'm sure Steve would agree, are all much better. Hey, have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Mike Evans, see ya.
There you have the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Well, you sure agree with him a lot.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. I never get a chance to respond. That's the sad part. Because by the time I turn my mic on, I've forgotten what he said. Hey, let's look back. It is May 22nd. On this day in 2003, high school basketball star LeBron James signed a $90 million Nike endorsement deal. And so before we start talking about how completely insane it is, what's more insane is that LeBron has never done anything insane or illegal or, as far as we know, immoral, for God's sakes. Married his high school sweetheart. He's a doting and devoted father, takes care of his mom, fully funded and committed to a school that has literally changed hundreds of families' lives. He gets on my nerves at times. He's fairly scripted. He's pretty passive-aggressive, etc. But I'm sorry, nobody at 18 has ever been given as much and not even come close to blowing it or being completely out of his gourd. I give LeBron more credit off the court than I do on the court, and he's the second best player of all time at worst.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Wednesday, May the 22nd. Van Halen's Jump. The first time I ever heard that song was during the Rose Bowl telecast, January 1st, 1984. They were playing it in and out of commercial breaks. And several times it was obviously a plug-in situation because the announcers would go, "That's the new song from Van Halen." And I would go, "No, that's idiot. It's not Van Halen. It's a synthesizer. What is wrong with this guy?" And then finally heard I was like, well, it does sound like David Lee Roth. And then at some point I heard that guitar solo and I was like, the hell's happening? Wait a minute. What was synthesizer?
Yeah.
My world.
Yeah, this is not supposed to happen.
Yeah, I decided I didn't like it then. I was like, no, this isn't Van Halen. I immediately don't like it for about one day, and then I went to school the next day because I watched the MTV World Premiere. There was a huge weeks-long build-up to the new Van Halen video that we would be watching every 5 minutes on MTV.
Nice.
And so we were all, big anticipation for the new Van Halen, and I thought the same thing. I saw Eddie on the keyboards, and I went, I'm out. And I went to school, and everyone was saying it was the greatest album ever. And I went, yeah, I'm back in. Kind of like the Timberwolves, you know. I'm off, I'm on the bandwagon. I'm off, I'm on.
Oh, game one tonight. Timberwolves, baby. If they win this series and get to the finals, we're watching basketball deep into June, which is what I call heaven on earth because I'm a big fan of the round ball, as you know. And there will be people who get summer jobs, and then they'll be watching the NBA Finals and working crappy summer jobs, and it'll be the one thing that's their saving grace. We've all had summer jobs that made us nuts. On the KQ Talking text line, there is a text I have to respond to. I'm shocked by this. someone wrote in and said, summer of 85, I flipped burgers at Burger King in Anoka. Ended up with the Best Employee Award my first month. They wanted me to go to Burger U after my graduation. I said, thank you, but no. Burger King University?
Yeah.
That's where they get their training.
Management training, yeah.
What?
That person had the right stuff.
Burger King U. I got it. Man, come on.
They don't get the cardboard Burger King crown. They get the real deal. I
Is
think it's plastic.
Does McDonald's also have a university? Is there McDonald's U? Are we familiar with this? This is exciting stuff.
I've heard of these things. I know Wendy's does because, I know a friend's kid that was off to Wendy's. I don't think they called it Wendy's U, but it was management training, trying to keep them in the fold.
Man, I guess the smaller chain, like White Castle is just a college. That's not a U. It's a White Castle CC type of vibe. Night classes at White Castle Community. Yeah.
White Castle Community. I was just going to say that. That's what that would be, a VOTEC.
On the KQRS Facebook page, a lot of posts about summer jobs, good or bad. And this is a great one. Matt wrote, back in high school, worked for the Three Rivers Park District at Elm Creek Park mowing grass. No emails, no phone calls, countless hours on a brand new Toro Groundmaster. Good times.
Working on that tan, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I had a little time on it. One of those Yazoo, the wheel in the back things. You could do like a 0-point turn on one of those lawnmowers.
Yeah.
Working at my old high school. It wasn't a full summer job. It was just occasionally I went in and helped out. And yeah, you put me on like to cut the soccer field and the baseball diamond and all that for hours. Just with a Walkman with the headset that was not even loud enough to get over the sound of the engines, but I still used it anyway, just to make sure I was more damaged hearing-wise than before. Put in the little headset, turn it up as loud as it could go, and then couldn't hear it, but it was still blasting into my eardrums.
I remember trying to wear my Walkman with my motorcycle going down the road, convinced I could actually hear the music back in the day. But, that was the job I wanted in Aberdeen at Parks and Rec, and I wanted that cool mow the park job, scooting around with my headphones on. However, I showed up late to work my first day, may have been out having a good time, and instead I got garbage detail. I got to drive along in the garbage truck. I was the one that jumped out and threw the garbage in the back from all the parks around town. So I'd say, especially on your first day, youngsters, show up on time when they're handing out the jobs. Yeah, you show up late, you're going to get the tough one.
Yeah, we've had that conversation a bunch with the kids. Like, I don't care if it's a crappy job. Be a little early and just don't have a shirt that's completely wrinkled. Right. You'll stand out. Yeah. They'll be impressed.
Yeah, you'll do better because there's always, especially with summer jobs, you can go lower on the totem pole. There's a lousier job to have, and you don't want the worst. Here's Natalie, hired in an elderly people's home for patients with dementia. On my first day, I accidentally pressed the door button, and all the old people escaped. We had to run through town.
They escaped.
Oh, my God.
Run through town, rounding them up. Yeah.
Hey, now.
They're quicker than you think,
Hey, it says on the Talking Text line, yes, Mickey D's has a management training place called Hamburger University. It's in Illinois. It says I have a friend that attended.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's for lunch, I guess.
When they first opened a Taco Bell in my hometown, there was a kid who went to one of the other high schools who started work. I mean, the first time I ever walked in, I saw this dude, and he's just one of those guys I'd see around town like, what's up, man? What's up, man? And he was already working there, and I was like, oh, good for him. He was like a year older than me, probably. By the time he was a senior, he was the manager of this Taco Bell, and he went on. There was a story about him in our local paper like 15 years later. He was in like national management, like on the board of Taco Bell by the time he was 35 years old. He is at this stage of the game, I believe he's retired. He literally spent his entire career with Taco Bell. Went from Hopkinsville, Kentucky to regional to national and just boom, big time. That's a lot of bean burritos in that guy's life.
It is, and there's some good money to be made. Not Taco Bell, but another popular chain I'm not going to talk about. But I had a friend go up through the ranks, and we got to having a couple of beers one night, and salaries started coming out of everyone, what they were making, and well into the six figures. This wasn't that long ago. I'm like, what? Damn.
Man, that's pretty impressive.
Should have put on the apron. Alan grew up in Florida, living in Minnesota. Had a job walking 5 Chihuahuas. When they got tired, I had to carry them home. 2 on my arms, 2 on my shoulders, 1 on my head. Lazy little bastards.
Pretty great.
I'd be dragging them, I think.
I mentioned I spent the summer of '82 working at a family restaurant, family-owned restaurant. A flight of fancy my dad took us all on for a bit, and which meant no pay and way longer hours than were possibly than would have been possible. And but before I realized I was going to be put to work at the family restaurant, I did get a job at Wendy's for 1 day.
1 day,
and because the guy I went to high school with was the manager there, so he hired me, my buddy Liam. And Wendy's had a scratch-off thing going then. You would get it with your order. They'd give you a ticket. Like a little, like a coupon, like a scratch-off, like a, whatever you call it. Mm-hmm. And you had like 6 or 9 boxes, and it was like tic-tac-toe. And if you got 3 in a row, you got whatever it was. And as the manager, apparently he somehow knew what was on every card. And so he would just hand everyone. He'd go, "This is a double cheese." Like, oh, he goes, "Go, top to bottom, left to right." Okay, thanks. And you'd scratch. He just would. He was like the coolest guy in school. "Hey, you want a Frosty? Here you go." And he'd be like, "Yeah, scratch it off." And I remember thinking, like, that's the most powerful man in my town. He's handing out Wendy's gear. I was so envious of having that kind of juice. I just couldn't believe it was possible. I mean, that was like, man, they are just giving. He's just giving away all the goods, and that's you can only hope to attain that level of power. And by the way, holy smoke! Speaking of a giveaway, Liquid Death, which until recently I did not realize was water. I assumed that Liquid Death, when I see it on the store, I just assumed it was straight vodka or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's called Liquid Death. How can this be water? I missed something in the translation there.
One of these energy drinks that would soon be outlawed. I thought the same thing, too. And then came across a can, and I'm like, water? Really? I think we're over-marketing here. But speaking of over-marketing...
Liquid meth. Yeah, you'd think. No, Liquid Death is it's a variety of water. They have a giveaway. You can go, here's the deal. This is what you got to do. Go buy some Liquid Death, take a picture of your receipt. You take a picture of your receipt, and then you send it in to the company. There's like a line. You can text in a picture of your receipt. You can send in up to 400 of these, because you're hoping to win the contest. The contest is this. I can't even believe I'm saying this. They're going to give away a jet.
Here we go
jet
again.
Plane, an L-39 Aero jet, which has a top speed of 470 miles per hour, 3,800 pounds of thrust. It's a 2-seater, what looks to be like a miniature fighter plane. Yeah. They're literally giving one away to anyone 18 and older who wins the contest. And not only that, they're going to store it. They're going to give free hangar space for the first 6 months till you figure out how the hell do you rent an airplane hangar.
Right.
They're going to give you a Liquid Death flight helmet, a year's supply of Liquid Death, a cockpit cup holder. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything about flight lessons or how in the hell do you learn how to fly a jet death plane.
I think the flying's the easy part. What did Tom Petty say? Coming down is the hardest part. I'm watching the promo. This is the aircraft I want to die in.
They said a contact number for a pilot, maybe? Freelance?
Yeah, I know a guy who knows a guy. He's an old crop duster out in South Dakota. He's retired. I bet he'd get that bad boy straightened right away. They have do-it-yourself videos. They have apps they have games, video
That's
games.
True.
Yeah.
If you win,
flight simulator.
If you win the jet, again, the 2-seater jet airplane that goes 470 miles per hour. If you win, they'll contact you. And then they're going to work with you to figure out how you'd like to pick up your jet. If you decide you don't want to learn how to fly and you don't want the responsibility of owning a jet airplane, you can take option number 2, which is a briefcase with $250,000 inside.
Come on, don't be a pussy. You know what? You don't have to fly it. Those things drive around just fine.
I mean, I think it would be pretty cool to just go, do you want to see my jet? That's
Yeah.
If you're smart, you can make that more than worth $250,000 by the time it's all said and done.
Sure, you could get in his brand new Mustang if you want, or whatever the cool car is now.
Yeah.
Or you can jump in my jet.
Do you know how much fun you can have never taking anyone up for a flight, but letting them know that you might one day?
Yeah,
Maybe we could just cruise around.
Yeah, just drive up and down.
Yeah,
I'm sure
stretch.
this is all very illegal, and you couldn't get away with it. But take the jet.
That's the kind of thing. When I was in high school, I would literally I would have bought all the liquid death imaginable for this
Well,
one.
I can tell you this: I'm buying at least one. I'm going in on one. It's like a lottery ticket. What have you got to lose?
Really?
You can't win if you don't play. And if I win that jet, I'm going to learn. I might take a flight lesson or two even.
Then you get a cup holder.
Yeah, get the cup holder. Yeah, not taking the cash.
If you can't figure out how to fly this thing, if you decide you don't want to take a plane, which I understand if that's the way you see it, do what you got to do. Maybe you have a simpler approach to travel. Maybe you're one of those people who thinks, you know what, I'm just going to hop on the bike. I'm just going to go for a ride today. And maybe, just maybe, you're generally pissed off, and now especially pissed off because of something that's happening in the Twin Cities. We'll let you know what that is. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for May the 22nd, 2024. Big game in Minneapolis tonight. The Timberwolves tipping off at 7:30 in the Western Conference Finals. As we all heard, of course, over the last few days, everybody's bringing that ass up to Minnesota. I mean, it's the new state slogan, bring your ass. I got texts from friends going, hey, you haven't invited us to town. Should we bring our ass? And by the ninth one, I'm like, okay, I get it. It's great.
I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years. Bring your ass.
So they're all coming. They're all coming. That was Charles Barkley with Anthony Edwards. A friend of the show's was going to be with us here in just a few minutes. She was with Charles Barkley at the airport. I'm looking forward to getting that report. In the meantime, if you like to bring your ass into the Twin Cities via bicycle, as a lot of people do, I'm always amazed at how many people bicycle around the city. I think it's great. It's wonderful to see.
But I've got a new bike myself this year. I've been trekking all over the city.
Yeah, you are. Zepp is just you're a whirling dervish, my man. But, you come by your grumpy nature naturally. Most people aren't until they get on that bicycle for hours a day. They're just a grumpy bunch, aren't they? Surly group.
I hang out with just these weird cliques of people, bikers as in motorcycle bikers, skiers, all these people that just seem to have this attitude, and now cyclists as well. I just kind of really try and roll with life, pardon the pun. But, a lot of attitude out there from cyclists. I want to disassociate myself with the larger group that call themselves cyclists, of which I am not.
Well, I know a lot of cyclists, and they with good reason, they're very chippy about cars infringing on their lanes and such. But when they're on a road that there's no bike lane, they still tend to want to make sure they have every right. And I agree they do.
Stop signs all the time.
I agree they have every right. But to your point, but they're not following the same rules a lot of times. Right now, there's a big hubbub because a lot of cyclists who are coming into town via the Greenway system, well, they're a little annoyed. You know why? Because we still have mounted police in Minneapolis. The Minneapolis Mounted Police Foundation still running horses on those greenways. And you know what horses do when they're out on the greenways? They just drop deuces left and right. They're not going to hold it back. They don't have the little bag to catch it. They just keep moving. Boom, boom, boom.
Plunk, plunk.
Yeah,
plunk.
Why don't the cyclists? Why don't they do us a public service and stop and pick those up, kick them off the trail, or better yet, do what I do. Go around them or just ride on through them. It's horse poop. It's not dog poop. It's not human poop. There's some of that out on the Greenway. Trust me. Yuck. And you're worried about the dog or the horse poop, a little hay that's been run through a horse. Nothing, man. If I had to, I'd live on that stuff.
Comparatively, you're exactly right. Nowhere near as much of a mess. There's no protein in horse droppings. It's primarily hay, grain, and water.
Yeah.
It does decompose very quickly. So
I would think those granola-eating cyclists would want to, that's part of their diet.
that's not a bad suggestion. Let's just see if we can't, turn this into a win for everybody.
Yeah.
You guys are upset about all the mounds, the piles of horse poo. Just like you said, stop, pick it up, pack it up, maybe put it in the freezer. I don't know. Maybe put it in the skillet, add some Spam. You got yourself a stew.
Perhaps. Little road apple stew. Perhaps they could take some consolation in the fact that those mounted police officers out on the Greenway means you're not getting your brains beat out by gangs.
There is that.
Yeah.
You see, there's always a price to pay for the better things in life, and if a few mounds of horse poo is the price, I think we can all agree we should all just get along. Right. All right, Tony, who have we got on the horn? This is an old friend of you, someone before my time at KQ. Explain, please.
Right, the beautiful and fun former KQ superstar Amy Mousy is on with us to talk about her stalking Charles Barkley's ass.
Amy, good morning.
Good morning.
So, was this? Was there a reason that you were at the airport, or were you there to detain Charles Barkley himself? Were you there to pick him up? What was going on, or did you just happen to be in the right place at the right time?
Well, a combination of both. I was actually picking up a different passenger, but a coworker of mine was there to claim Mr. Barkley, and we all kind of converged on the same baggage claim, and we're talking or comparing notes on who had who, and he goes, "Well, yeah, I've got Charles." And I said, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be a big deal."
Yeah.
And I'm like, because normally you can tell if there's a celebrity coming through soon, because security will gather. You'll have a couple policemen or porters walking around, and there wasn't, and sure enough, like 2 minutes later, the doors open up, and if you're familiar with baggage claims, those doors kind of open from the arrival gates, and here he comes, all by himself, luggage in hand. And I was standing right by the big sign that tells you where to go to pick up your luggage, which carousel. And he walks up, he's like, "Gosh, I can't find my bags." And I looked, and I go, "You're on carousel 9, Mr. Barkley." I mean, he didn't even know. Like, what, don't you have handlers? I would have thought he'd fly private, but
it's a lot to handle.
He's got a Nike hat and shirt, shoes on, and he's so big, you can't miss him. And he comes walking through, and people started to recognize him. And he was sort of standing right by me and my coworker. And everyone that came up and high-fived and wanted a selfie, he said yes. He was lovely. I mean, said no to nobody. And I just said, "Hey, got your ass in Minneapolis." He goes, "You bet I do. Here I am." And,
does he know what a big splash he's made?
I think he was aware of it, but everyone that came up made a comment. "Bring your ass, you brought your ass," and it was funny about it. And I kind of, it was getting crowded, like really crowded for him. So I kind of stood behind him and I just said, "Hey, I'll take your flank. I'll be your lineman here." and he goes, "You got my ass." I said, "I do. I've got it." And so
Everywhere that guy has gone for 20 years. I mean, think about it. No matter what time of year, no matter where he is, he's high-fiving and chatting with people. He can't go anywhere. He loves it.
No, he does. So he got the bags, and he's walking down the concourse, and people were just shouting at him, and "Go Wolves!" And he won't say "Go Wolves." And he'll just go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
He can't take a side, but every single person that came up, he had kind words and took a picture. People were, handing them their kids. "Take my child," and,
for good.
Take a photo, and he's the best. He really is the best. So, welcome to town, Charles Barkley.
Man, that's great. There's and think about that. Everywhere, everybody loves him, but there's an Amy everywhere too. There's somebody who recognizes, okay, I need to help him get his bags. I'm going to lead him over here. Someone's always got to have his back. That's fantastic. What a great life for him, and how nice for you to be there to fill that role and take good care of the man, welcoming him to town.
Well, that's as Tony could attest, I kind of have a niche for that. I'm always at the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
and
you
so
are.
I just couldn't believe it when he came through. I said, "My God, there he is. He's just walking down the concourse alone." But cool, good for him. I'm impressed, to put it that way.
Hey,
Fantastic.
Amy, did he say anything about those avalanche of restaurant recommendations that have come through?
He didn't. A couple of people were. I had friends texting me after I posted that photo. Send him here. I'm like, no, he didn't. He didn't bring up the restaurant stuff. He just wanted to get into his car and get to whatever hotel he's staying at. I'm not sure where he is.
No, there'll be a restaurant in his visit, no doubt.
Oh,
he's infamous for going to these cities, and the first thing he talks about is the restaurant scene. I believe the All-Star game was in Salt Lake City, and the whole entire city was talking about, just heartbroken, that Charles Barkley said, this town sucks. There's nothing to eat here. The food's no good. I can't even leave my hotel room. There's just nothing to do. So, yeah, I think Minneapolis.
He'll find something. He'll find something in Minneapolis.
Oh, good food all over the place, left and right of him.
Amy, we appreciate you calling in. Last thing, can you text him and ask him for tickets for us? Is that pushing it too much?
I'll ask if you guys can broadcast live from the lobby.
No, we want to sell them. They're going for big money. I don't want to go.
I'm with you.
Well, as long as you're here, what's your prediction for the series? Wolves are going to win it, and in how many games?
I think for sure the Wolves. I think it's going to go to 6 games.
I like it.
6 games, 4-2. Yeah,
fair enough. 6 games, so they're gonna put the Mavericks away in Dallas. I like it. That's a good call. Amy, thank you for calling in. That's great.
Thanks, Amy. Love you, kid.
Okay, bye, Tone. Bye, guys. Thank you.
See ya. Charles Barkley, you remember he had the ads, I am not a role model, all that stuff in the 90s?
Yeah, sure.
The one I loved the most when he said, these are my new shoes. They're good shoes. They won't make you rich like me. They won't make you rebound like me. They definitely won't make you handsome like me. They'll only make you have shoes like me. That's it.
Love him.
That was good.
I remember when he said he wouldn't miss San Antonio because there weren't any skinny women in San Antonio.
Yeah, that's right.
As much as I love San Antonio, great city, I'm not going to miss it. Remember the Alamo. One thing about San Antonio, them women down there, they got... What about the women in San Antonio? Hey. My ass will look normal down there. Well, I want to hear. We ain't going there. I'm going to tell you something. They ain't got no skinny women down there.
Wow.
No,
making friends wherever he goes.
My other quote I always loved when he was talking about, he and Michael Jordan used to be very, very close, and they are no longer friends. He was critical of Michael Jordan as the owner of the Charlotte team, and Jordan was just like, we're done. It's very frosty and has been for years. But when they were still tight, I saw an interview with him, and he said, I was telling Michael we should get into ownership. He said, between the two of us at the time, he goes, we have $500 million. I got 30. He's got 470. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Hey, the KQ karaoke cruise is coming back. Friday, June 21st. Paddleford Riverboats featuring 2 karaoke stages, drinks with the KQ crew, and free food from Lucky's 13 Pub. Tickets are on sale at 92kqrs.com, sponsored by Alexander Exteriors and Dennis Kirk. I can assure you that is going to be a good time. If you have not been on the KQ karaoke cruise, you're going to want to jump on there. And if you have, you already know what I'm talking about. I can't promise Charles Barkley's going to join us, and I can't promise Robert Downey Jr. is going to join us. But they're in town now anyway. Iron Man himself at the Minneapolis Target on Nicollet Mall yesterday, right in the middle of the day, just walking around Target, one of the biggest actors on the planet. And apparently he was promoting his Happy Coffee brand. First I've heard of it.
All right. Happy Coffee.
Happy Coffee.
Yeah. You think that guy's, he's not out there growing the beans and stomping them himself. Where's that grapes I'm thinking of? I was just kidding around. But, do you need another business interest there?
First of all, quit kidding around.
I guess. It says, I'm looking at it. It's the little coffee pods. It says thoughtfully sourced, expertly blended, miraculous medium roast with notes of chocolate and confidence.
Well, that's
I
what I want out of my coffee. Confidence.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like a confidence game to me. Sounds like there's both a long and short con involved in this. To your point, he's got back end on all those Marvel movies, right? He's one of the highest paid people in Hollywood the last 15 years. What does it take to get him to pay attention to your business pitch at this point?
I don't know.
I can assure you the number of buffers I would have between me and someone wanting to get in touch with me There'd be a lot. That's it's countless. You could never get through to me.
Yeah, the power of money. I guess having a lot is still not enough.
Maybe it's a relative's company or something. He's helping them along.
Yeah, he's
yeah, right.
I actually my cousin. I have a cousin who is started a group. You know what Music Cares is? It's a nonprofit that looks after musicians who need help, especially if you're looking to get sober, need to get into rehab or recovery. If you're a musician, you can apply. Music Cares takes care of musicians on a regular basis. My cousin worked with the NFL for years, and he has started a similar company where he works with NFL players needing to get into recovery, needing to get their life back together. He has been active for 30 years in helping other people achieve sobriety and recovery. And Robert Downey Jr. has never made a secret of his situation with recovery. Mm-hmm. So all this to say, my cousin has spent a lot of time with him. They've worked together on projects like that. And he just says the nothing but the best about him, just salt of the earth. And I'm like, come on, seriously, give me something. He's like, no, just the greatest guy in the world. Do anything for you. And I'm like, come on, he's Iron Man. There's got to be a glitch. He goes, no, he got all those glitches out. You've read about all the glitches. Now, just the best dude in the world.
Cool.
Pretty good stuff. Yeah, just the best dude. Great guy.
Although,
So,
if you're coming here to pitch coffee, he didn't make too big of a splash. He ended up on Facebook. Someone busted him. Not like he's doing the talk shows and, out there high-fiving and that sort of thing, but maybe just a quiet opening.
We have been discussing summer jobs also on the show. The KQ Talking text line, 651-989-ROCK. Here's one. In 1991, I was 16 working at a potato farm in Big Lake. I was asked to clean out the washer with an extra roller as I was standing on a milk crate for height. Let's just stop it right there. Standing on the milk crate to get a little higher. We all know where this is going. I slipped, and my left hand slipped under the chain guard. I cut the front end of my middle finger off.
Yow.
Whew. There's never a story where someone's standing on a milk crate that ends well.
No. And you know what you don't get with summer jobs? A workers' comp.
No, not so much. You're not going to get that. One thing you can get right now, by the way, still Chick-fil-A in the area are offering free chicken nuggets until Thursday. After the fact, that's a promotion because of course, the Timberwolves Game 7 win over the Nuggets of Denver. You can claim an 8-piece nugget for free on the Chick-fil-A app at Twin Cities and St. Cloud locations. I think we can all get behind that.
Oh, yeah. Free chicken. I'm all about it.
Yeah, man. Free food just because some bunch of guys you're never going to meet beat a team made up of a bunch of guys you're never going to meet. I'm down.
Yeah, suddenly
Anytime.
I'm on board. Yeah. I'm going to buy myself a Minnesota Timberwolves foam finger, number 1.
Foam finger. Oh, the other thing, real quick, several people on the Facebook page and on the text line have mentioned summer job detasseling corn.
Oh, that's a big thing. A lot of Minnesota kids.
Yeah.
I'm sure just kids in the Midwest in general had jobs detasseling corn. We weren't a corn farm. We had our own summer jobs out there on the hay farm. That's what we were doing. Squishing bugs, pulling weeds, making hay.
It sounds to me, I'm not exactly sure. I can kind of figure out what detasseling corn means by hand. But I got to figure that's just grunt work. That can't be fun.
Oh, 100% grunt work.
Yeah, the only thing, the closest I came to that was a job that lasted. It's funny, you forget about these things until something prompts you. It was not it wasn't a summer job. It wasn't even a summer job for a day. It was a summer job for about 40 minutes where I was picking tobacco.
You had a lot of very short summer jobs. We have.
Well, it was just it was one of those like you guys think you've had try this out. It was not designed to be a summer job, but I was like thinking it was one of those things. I was like, yeah, but you know what? These guys are getting $10 an hour, so I don't care how hard this is.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was 18 years old, and my back was already like no. No, we're not going to do this. This is not how this is supposed to. This is not your life. You are not supposed to hurt your back forever right here doing this.
Man, have you found the right vocation for you? You've just been looking around for jobs where you don't have to work
sitting. Just A comfy chair, like, I mean, I do, I used to make it harder on myself as a drummer because I just sit on an old school, like what they call a throne. But now, I mean, drummers these days, man, you got lumbar support, you got little arms. It's like going to the dentist, for God's sakes, up there. I never quite got involved. I never could commit fully to that because, I mean, frankly, there are times when I could see myself napping between songs in those chairs. That's not good for anybody.
No, it's not a good look.
No, it's not a good look at all.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. I will be at the Turf Club on June 14th, rocking as well as rolling. Actually, hopefully more rolling than rocking. I like the swing. I like the groove a little more. Bagmen is the name of my band. Tony's going to be there. Zep's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Wait, didn't we already have you on stage with a cowbell, Zep?
I thought we forgot about that.
No. Tony, I got a tambourine with your name on it. Tony Tambourines, they call him.
Yes.
All right. This is going to be quite
long.
Well, the funny thing is I'm not going to tell either of my bandmates about this, and so you'll have to deal with the death stare from them when you appear.
Do me this favor. I had a band one time that invited me up to play a lead guitar solo. The trick was they did not plug in the guitar, so I would ask that you don't plug in the cowbell.
Right. I'm going to wear a shirt that says soy bomb.
Who isn't thinking back to the 98 Grammys on a regular basis? I met, I was at some event once when I was doing sports talk radio many, many years ago. Dan Patrick, the former ESPN host, big, giant sports guy, talking, and his brother, Dan Patrick's brother, was a classic rock radio guy in Atlanta back in the day, a dude named Mike Pugh, great guy, and he sounds just like Dan Patrick. So if you talk to Mike, it sounds like you're talking to Dan, they're brothers, the whole thing. So I said, hey, I'm a friend of Mike's, used to know him back in the day, so we're having a nice chat, and he goes, hey, if I ever come see your band sometime, could I get up and play tambourine or something? And I was like, no. And he goes, Hootie and the Blowfish let me do that. And I go, yeah, they're nice people. I said, yeah.
They're the Black Crows.
Of course they do. We're not nice people. We're not going to. What are you kidding me? Come on. Who are you talking to here? But this is a very genuine offer. So I got a cowbell. I got a tambourine. We're all going to be there. You know who else is going to be there? We're going to give away a couple tickets. So whoever wins this game we're about to play is going to be there. I promise you we're all going to have a good time. Tony, before we bring on the contestants, what are we going to ask of them today?
Yeah, it's time for wedding planning, time for grad parties. Maybe you're thinking about booking a band. And if you want to see Bagman, consider one of these. We're often amused by words or phrases that we think would make for great names for a band. So let's play Band Not a Band. Are these actual names of bands that exist or have existed, or are they just made up and don't exist as far as we know?
Oh, I can't tell you how many times a week I come up with something I think that might be a good band name, and you Google it, and if it's a good name, you know it's a good name because it's already been taken. Yeah. It's so hard.
Like an email handle or something.
Pretty much. Yep. It's pretty difficult. So, all right, band or no band, and let's go to contestant number one. Who have we got?
We have Mr. Dave from Burnsville, number one.
Dave, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How's your day so far, brother?
Fantastic. Getting better by the minute.
Good answer. I like that. Are you excited to play band or no band?
Super excited.
Attaboy. Attaboy, Dave-o. All right, Tony, take it away.
All right, Dave, 9 choices here. We'll start off. Number 1, tell me band, not a band. Kiss the Tiger.
Band.
Correct. A great local band, actually.
Kiss the Tiger.
Yeah, they're quite cool.
When they're sleeping, just a peck.
Dave, number 2, Jack and the Beanstalkers.
Band.
Sorry, that is made up.
Wow. Sounds like I could totally see it on a flyer.
It's out there.
Yeah.
Tough. Number 3 is Clomp.
Can you spell that, please?
Good question. I was thinking the same thing, Dave.
Well, CLOMP, of course.
Band.
Sorry.
Really?
Oh,
Should have gone with K.
Yeah, I don't know the answers to these, by the way. I'm playing along. I'm 1 for 3 also.
Me as am I.
Number 4, Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Band.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Where did that name come from? Anybody?
Nope.
Nay.
Monty Python skit.
Really?
Oh,
How do I not know that? Boy.
Named after a Monty Python and Eric Idle bit from way back in the day.
No kidding. God, I smoke too much pot.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you do.
2 for 4, Dave.
Number 5, Strawberry Alarm Clock.
Band.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fun one.
What's their big hit, Tony Lee?
Oh, God, no. You stumped me.
I know
Forgot.
this because of Ed Burns from Skinner.
Incense, peppermint, strawberry wine.
I remember listening to this while I was building models in the kitchen.
I love that conversation. Guys sitting around on their beanbag chairs. How about strawberry alarm clock?
Yeah.
Dude!
That's it, man.
Ho, 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 ho! All right, Dave, you're 3 for 5. Well played so far.
Next up, A Tribe Called Quest.
A Tribe Called Quest.
Correct.
Band.
Yes.
Yeah. Aren't they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Very good one.
Nominated. I can't remember if they were inducted.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I don't think so.
3 more. Next up is The Suicide Commandos.
Band.
Yes, fine
On a roll.
local
Man,
rockers.
getting after it, Davo.
Next up is Pottery Barn.
No band.
Correct.
Tony had to cut. He almost laughed as he said it. I love the way he held himself in check.
Yes, fine furnishings. And your last one is Crunch Wrap, the sequel.
No band.
Very good
Wow.
job, Dave.
Yeah, all right.
Nice.
Is my spider math off? Was that 9 or 10?
I
he
did
got-
9
he
of
got
them.
Did
two
9.
wrong.
He got 7 for 9.
Yes.
Wow.
Wowie, wow.
Davo came to play today. Well
Yeah.
done, sir.
1 out of 3, and then just ran the table after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's a Minnesota Timberwolvian performance right there. Drop a couple and then just start kicking ass.
Dominate.
Well done, Dave. Sit tight while we see what contestant number 2's got to say. Tony, who are we talking with now?
Number 2 is Chris from the lovely township of Mound.
Chris, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You ready to play band or no band?
Yes, indeed.
Good answer. Tony, take it away.
All right, Chris, number 1, Captain Beefheart.
Captain Beefheart. Yeah, it should be if it's not.
It is.
I like that. Yeah.
It was.
Well done.
Number 2, Mott the Hoople.
Oh, most definitely a band.
First time I ever heard that band name, I had to have it like 5. What? What is it?
Yeah, what is
Spell
it?
it.
Yeah,
How do you
explain it.
spell it? I was so confused as a kid.
Sounds like an applesauce brand.
Oh, Mott's. Yeah, Mott's. It is.
Do we know the story on Mott the Hoople, where that name came from? Do you know,
No.
Steve-O?
That's a
I don't.
David Bowie tie, doesn't it? I'm going to Google it while we rock on.
Okay.
He wrote All the Young Dudes for them. I know that.
Yeah, marijuana may have been involved in the naming of that band.
Good chance. Good chance of that.
Next up, Chris, is Slappable Sylvester.
Oh, man. I'm going to go with no on that one.
Good call.
Wow.
While in prison for a drug offense, Stevens of Mott the Hoople read that Willard Manus novel, Mott the Hoople, about an eccentric who works in a circus freak show. It's based on a novel,
I love
Mott
it.
the Hoople,
Wow.
about a eccentric who works in a circus freak show.
Good call. Nice.
Based on a novel about a man named Mott. Doesn't have quite the same ring as a man named Lear. But next, all right, Chris, 3 for 3. Good start, brother.
Or a man named Jed.
Apparently kept his family fed, I heard.
Next up is the Velvet Underground.
Most definitely yes.
Your next one is Punchy Puppet Show.
No, it's not.
You're
Wow.
smoking it.
With authority.
All right, Eugene Levy and the Spectacular Spectacles.
Sorry, spectacles or the other word?
Eugene Levy and the Spectacular Spectacles. Band, not a band.
Oh, man. It sounds like he would name his band that. I'm going to go, yes.
Sorry. That is
dear.
made up. Oh, dear. No, you're doing great. Next is Bananarama.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Two more for you, Chris. Next band is Nothing to See Here.
yes. Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Oh, cripes. And your last one is Free Caramels.
Free caramels?
Yes.
Man. I'm going to go no.
Good job. Woo! All right.
Oh, boy.
Was
Man.
it
Oh,
Free
boy.
Caramels?
Chris stumbling late, but crosses the line just in time. 7 for 9. That puts you in a tie with Dave, which means, gentlemen, we have ourselves a tie-breaker. What are we going to do? Is this a question and answer, Tony?
Sure, I'll give him a question.
All right, Dave, we'll take your answer first, and then we'll get Chris's.
Very good.
Fellas, how many miles of blood vessels are there in the human body? I ask you.
Dave, what do you think?
1.5.
I thought he was just going with one.
1.5.
So one, all right, yeah.
What about it, Chris?
I think we may have lost Chris, so we'll come up with a cool bonus prize for him.
Oh, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, Chris wins the
Chris.
taste of Minnesota, or the Minnesota taste.
Yeah. All right. So, Chris, sorry we lost you, brother. Kickoff to summer at Fair for you. Dave, 1.5. Let's go ahead and get the answer, Tony.
87,500.
Close, Dave.
Yes.
Close.
I was really close.
You were within 88,000 of the answer. So, but that's close enough because you've got tickets to see Bagmen June 14th. We'll see you at the Turf Club, brother. I hope you enjoy it.
I am looking forward to every minute of it, gentlemen.
You're
All
gonna
right.
love it.
Good answer, Dave. Thanks, brother. We appreciate it. Miles of Blood Vessels, also a good possible band name.
Yeah, remember when they were like peeling bodies apart and putting them in museums? I forget where I saw
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Over at the Science Museum, I think I saw it in St. Paul, Body Works, when that was making its tour.
Fascinating.
And there were a couple of different tours out, but yeah, they had one with just all the blood vessels of the body. There's a bunch of them.
Thank you for coming out with Miles of Blood Vessels. This next song is called Smock. It sounds like it, you know? Yeah, MBV if you want to go for short. There's a song called Bloodbath.
Bloodbath. Oh, I like that. Blood rock.
Yeah, a lot of these band names, it always makes you think about the original band names. Does anybody know the band who was originally known as the Pendletons? The Pendletons. Yeah, the Beach Boys.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. The Beach Boys works a lot better than the
It does work a lot
Pendletons,
better. Although I was thinking to myself, how could you do worse than the Beach Boys? And then, the Pendletons was worse.
You don't wear
How about-
Pendletons on the beach.
How about the Obelisk? You know what famous band started as the Obelisk?
The Obelisk? I do not know.
Pink
No,
Floyd.
sir.
The Cure.
That checks out. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, we know Queen started out as Smile because of the biopic, right?
That's right. And of course, Kiss, very famously, Wicked Lester.
Oh, yeah.
Def Leppard was Atomic Mass. I'm
Ooh.
cheating. I'm on a Rolling Stone website. I emailed it to you guys. So Def Leppard started out as Atomic Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Maroon 5 was never really a band.
One of my
So I'm going to scroll past them. Sweet Children. Who was Sweet Children? Was. They were Sweet Children, and now they're a very famous band, a trio,
ZZ Top.
Green Day.
Wow, never heard that one. I think my favorite was always a name that you always go, wait, what the hell does that mean? Blue Oyster Cult. Blue Oyster Cult, weird name, but before that they were Soft White Underbelly.
I love that.
Soft White Underbelly, which is an expression. I feel like Winston Churchill, he called Italy the soft white underbelly of fascism. There's something about World War II.
He wanted to invade through, that was going to be the big invasion. He wanted to invade through Sicily and through Italy, calling it the soft white underbelly.
That's what it is.
The soft belly to attack the Axis. Here's one you'll never get. Not in a million years, I don't think. It's very clever. They started out as Mr. Crow's Garden. Number 15 on Rolling Stone's original band names, Mr. Crow's Garden.
The Archies.
It is actually the Archies. Man, look at that hair. You had a lot of hair and not one gray one in there, brother.
That was a. You know what? That photo. I'm looking at it now. I mean, this is. I'm sorry to say, I know exactly when that photo was taken and where.
Where?
At Donington on my 26th birthday.
Oh, wow. 26. Look at you punk.
1991, right there.
Yeah,
wow.
Not bad. Cool shirt, man.
It was free. I was given like 40 shirts from a stylist who has worked with a company, and she brought some stuff for a photo shoot, and there was just this cool shirt. I said, I like this. She goes, you can have it. She goes, in fact, I know the guy over there. Let me see if he'll just give you some if you'll wear it on stage. And he gave me just a box of shirts, which were perfect to wear on stage, and I would never be seen dead anywhere else wearing them. And I wore it, but they were great. All this is on the first, 90, 91. Wore them forever, and then got home from tour and went for a whole different vibe moving forward, and I just dropped them all off at the AmVets, like it's like a Goodwill, the AmVets thrift shop. And in Midtown Atlanta for years, I would see people walking around wearing those shirts.
With cardboard signs.
There was no mistaking that shirt. I'd be like, I wore that shirt at Madison Square Garden. Whatever. It was so funny. Like some guy, just some dude walking down the street. I'm like, man, you paid $1 for that shirt, and it still looks good. Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
I think the band Bon Jovi was originally called Bon Jovi, like his actual spelling of his name.
Okay.
And then somebody went like, hey, dude, maybe not so literal. Maybe make it a little easier. Bon Jovi, the way we know of it, I think that made sense. That was a good move. There's another Bon Jovi looming on the horizon. So prepare yourselves. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for May the 22nd. Good morning. John Bon Jovi, the guy from the band Bon Jovi, the guy with the good hair.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
For a hot minute there, was making a move into acting. Remember the 90s? He was suddenly in a bunch of movies.
I remember just a scene on Sex and the City. I never watched the show, but a friend of mine said, you got to watch Sex and the City. You got to watch the episode. It's got Bon Jovi in it. And he met, was it Carrie? Was she the protagonist, the main?
Yes.
All right,
Carrie.
so it was Carrie in it.
Carrie
and
Bradshaw.
She was in a therapy class, and she met him in her therapy group or whatever. And then they went home and slept together, and she thought she had met the man of her dreams. And she said, by the way, should we trade what we were in therapy about? That's right. They saw each other in the office. As he was leaving, she was coming in. They traded numbers. And she tells him what she was in for, just being a head case, I guess. He said, how about you? He goes, well, I have this thing where every time I sleep with a woman, I lose complete interest in her. And then he rolls away from her. And
wow.
That was the one Bon Jovi move I saw on screen.
Man, and I missed that one.
Yeah. So I thought, God, I got to ever use that line if a woman ever sleeps with me.
Yeah, no kidding. I never really understood anybody that could be dating Diane Lane and then end it. So I've never looked at him the same way. I've never trusted him since.
Yeah.
But that's just me. But so John Bon Jovi has had some time up on the silver screen and was always given like good reviews. People were like, hey, he's actually pretty good at this. Like if this is what he wanted to do, he might find himself with a career. I don't know if he's leading man material, but as a character actor, if the character has good hair anyway, he was on his way. Well, he has a son named Jake Bon Jovi, and Jake Bon Jovi has now made his acting debut in a new movie that's going to be available to see on Prime Video, Amazon Prime. The movie is called Rock Bottom, and it is unsurprisingly about a rock band, an 80s hair metal band called Cougar Snake. Cougar Snake. Long forgotten band Cougar Snake. Suddenly they have an opportunity, I guess, to reunite, but they need a new singer. And apparently Jake Bon Jovi is a kid who, through some, who knows what sort of level of hilarity ensues to get him in front of a microphone. He ends up singing in an 80s hair metal band with a bunch of guys much older than he is.
Yeah.
You could say literally born to play this part.
Yeah, people are saying he sounds a little like Pops. So this rock band needs a new lead singer. He's the pizza delivery guy, you know that old scenario. Shows up and starts to sing a song in his ear pods, and they go, "Hey, man, you want to audition?"
Kind of crazy, but it just might work.
I could hear it anyway.
Prime Video.
By the way, this kid, Jake Bon Jovi, is engaged to Millie Bobby Brown, the girl from Stranger Things.
Yeah, wow. That's well, you know, they probably went to the same school. They hang in the same circles, right?
I guess so. Wow. So that's that. Hey, you know, good for him. Good for old Jake stepping out of his old man's shadow like that.
Yeah.
Why not?
That sounded all right to me.
John Bon Jovi strikes me as the kind of guy, and this is not a knock at all, but just knowing his history, you know, he recorded his first song was Runaway, right?
Yeah.
Had a demo of that song, and he went around and literally knocked on radio stations' doors himself with the tape saying, "Hey, my name's John Bon Jovi, got a new song I think you'd like to play." You know, he did the work himself. He didn't have a label. He didn't have a manager. He had nobody. He built that thing, got some radio play locally, and that led to record companies, that led to managers, that led to people. So he's a man who's more than happy to do the job required to put his music into your ear hole. Unlike our friend Robert Plant.
No.
I just think, you know, Robert Plant, not quite the same. You know, he's been doing his own thing for a really long time. I mean, a solo artist now, it's 44 years since Led Zeppelin disbanded.
Damn.
And for the last 25 plus years, very much not. I mean, the record with Alison Krauss was a huge hit, but that was hardly a guaranteed. They weren't chasing commercial success. My point is, Robert Plant's not trying to keep up with trends, right? He's just doing the things he likes to do. If you follow him on social media, like he'll do a post and he's like, "Oh, I was playing a gig in the Arctic Circle yesterday," and you're like, "What?" Yeah. And he's like in just some village in Finland with like 7 guys, and they're like hitting gourds into like the base of a tree and calling it music. I mean, he's out there. But even in terms of some of his older music that radio plays a lot, in 2002, Robert Plant was driving along in a rental car, as he does. He likes to just be his own driver. He's in Oregon, and he puts on a station that is a listener-sponsored radio station, like an indie station, if you will. And the DJ came on and was asking people for donations. And he said, "Look, here's the deal. We make a promise. If we raise enough money, we'll never play Stairway to Heaven again." That was the pitch.
Yeah.
Well, we've all heard Stairway to Heaven enough for one lifetime. If we get to this certain number, this dollar amount, we promise we'll never play Stairway again.
And Robert Plant's listening to this on his radio, driving around.
He certainly was. So Robert Plant called the station and made a large donation himself. He said, "Oh, thank you. Please, yes, play something else. Find some younger artist and play that instead." Can you imagine being the DJ that he calls in? There's no way that guy thought it was actually Robert.
No way at all. Absolutely not. And
so I understand you're not going to play Stairway. All right, I'll give you a check. Add as many zeros as you like.
Yeah, any good DJ runs with it, but you know in your mind, that's not really Robert Plant calling in, but I'm going to run with it because it makes for good radio. Mm-hmm. I wonder how they were able to verify. He probably told the story to another DJ at another radio station or, you know, in a Rolling Stone interview or something like that, and that DJ is like, "Crap, that was actually Robert Plant."
Well, I'm sure the check cleared, so they had to have some inkling. You know, some guy just calls in, sounds like Robert Plant, and sends you enough money to ensure that you never play Stairway again. That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, that gets the job done. Yeah. No, he did talk about it here. I'm looking. He talked about it in a Rolling Stone magazine. Had a good laugh about that. He thought, why not? It was for a good cause. I guess they were raising money for a charity.
Well, I think they were raising money for the station. I mean, like just to keep it independent, to keep it on their own thing. I don't know. Pretty good stuff. Robert, you know, the final Led Zeppelin shows after 1977, they weren't playing Stairway anymore. And he had not sung Stairway to Heaven until 2007 when they did the big Led Zeppelin show in London. They performed it that night, and he was happy to do it. That show was, of course, honoring Ahmet Ertegun, the guy who gave Led Zeppelin their career with Atlantic Records. But, otherwise, I think he's only sung it since then twice. And both sort of spur the moment, sitting in with somebody else, and then all of a sudden it pops up. So a song that he has had more than enough of, like a lot of people listen to classic rock, because, Stairway to Heaven, it still gets a lot of play.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't get tired of it. I mean, I might roll my eyes for a half a second when it comes on. Oh, I just heard, but there I am, right there to the very last.
As soon as the vocal starts, I'm in. When I first hear the guitar, I might go, okay, I don't need it. But if I turn that song on, and especially after the drums come in, if it's already up and running, I'm going to the end. I'm sitting there right with it. I don't sing along to the radio. I do air drum and air guitar, and I rock out to the radio. Like most of us do, and by which I mean I have a moment of pure joy with the radio. The average person has 8 moments of pure joy a week.
Just a week, all right.
A week, 8 moments of pure joy, and on the list of things that people say gives them pure joy, singing along with the radio. Go figure.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So true.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I mean, that's every day.
Yeah. I as much as as much as I love to be able to curate my own playlist as I'm driving, there's nothing better than listening to the radio. And then when this, because you're not in control of the music, and when they play that song that you didn't know you wanted to hear, that always beats the song that you knew you wanted to hear.
I know
always.
I'm not the only one that crafts my own playlist. We all do that. We've been doing it for a long time, ever since I pushed play record on my boombox and went, it's actually recording the song off the radio.
Yeah.
We've been making our own mixes for a long time. It's only gotten easier and easier, and I jump in and I listen to 3 songs that I've handpicked myself, and after about 2.5 songs, I go right back to the radio. Yeah. We're playing those songs I've been listening to over and over again my whole life, but the comfort is there. The songs, I don't know what it is. I mean, and I'm not selling radio here. Either if you're listening, I don't have to sell it to you, but I don't know what that phenomenon is. Then I go back to my playlist and like, okay, it's good. I handpicked the songs. I'm right back to the good old 92.5.
I think when we all fell in love with music, that's how we heard it. It's it just harkens back to a time when the last thing you would have ever imagined was being able to pick the next song.
Right.
Yeah.
And those were good times.
You ever get caught wailing in the car?
Oh, constantly.
Yeah,
if I'm lucky, I'll look over and we'll be wailing the same song. I'm like, hey, right on, man. Deep Purple.
I have been caught doing a lot of things in cars in that regard.
Wailing,
wailing.
Wanking.
Like I said, I will be. I don't air drum like as if I'm playing a drum kit, but I'm keeping time with both hands on things. And then what I do, and again, if it's a guitar solo or a part, it's just in my fingers. I don't even notice that it's happening. But then I look up and I see people. I will see someone at a red light looking at my hands, like, what is that guy doing? And like from where they are, it looks like I'm tapping out in Morse code, "Help me, I'm being kidnapped." And I'm like, no, I'm actually playing the horn part to Baker Street. You didn't realize that.
I love it. Well, I've told the story before when you and I started working in the same studio together, and I think people will get this because people air drum. They play the power chords on their air guitar. Here I am sitting in the studio with Steve Gorman, the drummer, and I just air drum. I don't know I'm doing it. We go to tunes, and I start air drumming, and I look over, and there's frickin' Steve Gorman. I'm like, I cannot air drum in front of a drummer. He's like, oh, no, that's okay, man. I know it's okay with you, but it's weird now for me, so I've gone to just sort of tapping my legs under the counter.
And when I say I don't even notice those sort of things, I'm lying.
Right.
Because there's no way I'm not even trying to stay in beat or in rhythm with the song I'm listening to. I'm just flailing. I'm just rocking.
I have for years. When I see people air drumming, I think to myself, I'd give anything to be able to blink my eyes and put what they're doing with their hands and feet onto a drum kit so they could hear just how off that is. My son was naturally a pretty good drummer, but he got bored with it. He couldn't believe when he kind of started putting together what the drummer actually does, because he would sit at the drum kit And in his mind, he would play all the parts. Like, he would start playing a groove, but then his hands would just follow. Like, if he was playing Smoke on the Water, he would start playing the bam, 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 gung, 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 like on the toms or cymbals or as any example. Like, he just wanted to play like all of the parts on the kit. And it's just how he would naturally do it. And there was one time when he said, well, we were just talking about it, and it was he asked me about a certain Black Crowes song, and he goes, well, now what are you playing? Because he could hear the whole song. He couldn't quite separate just what the drums were doing. And I played just what I was doing, and he was looking at me like, oh, you poor guy. Oh. That's all you get to do? That is so boring. And he was literally like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be a drummer. That's nothing. I'm like, come on, man. You know, so I felt like it was like when a kid looks at their dad who's an offensive lineman and goes, "You never score the touchdown, really?
Yeah,
oh man,
that guy, no,
damn." And I'm like, no, but I block and I make a hole so the guy can run through and get the touchdown. I swear I'm important. I really am. It's one of those moments you never really forget. The look on his face. Mm-hmm. That's it? That's all you do? Yeah, no, not me. Thanks. It's like I'm being paid to rebound the basketball. It's pretty simple stuff. But back to this. So eight moments of joy a week, 8 pure moments of joy a week. Some of these I'm just like, well, okay, singing with the radio, I get it. Well, how about this one? When you're out shopping with a friend. No, the exact opposite. I hate shopping.
Yeah, no.
I like shopping.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever just go out to do it, or do you always have to have? It's always have to have a purpose. I don't just go, I'm a little bored right now. Should I go hit golf balls, or should I go just wander around a store? I don't like being in there. I go in, find something, and on my way to find something, they strategically placed 5 or 6 other things I want, and then I'll wander around a little bit. But
so, Tony, will you go into a mall and just walk and look and just take? That's a good passing of an hour or two.
Yeah. People watch. I get in trouble all the time. Rachel's like, stick to the list.
My girl.
I go off list.
Oh yeah, that's us, but reversed. If I don't have a list, I don't go into the store. I won't even go into a grocery store. If I have to buy one thing, I put it down on my phone. I will write grape juice. I'll just put it, because if I can't scratch it off, I will get distracted and buy mixed nuts, and I'm like, I don't need these.
Yeah, right, exactly. I find myself in the candy aisle.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Just something.
Right. And then I get home and I don't have you got the spaghetti sauce, right? As the noodles are boiling. But you know what I do have? A cake.
Always
drop it in.
Free.
That's it. That's the other thing too, is we have it's on sale. Hey, but it was on sale. Yeah, but we didn't want it to begin with. So yes, we didn't spend as much as we would have, but we spent more than we should have because we don't care.
Yeah.
But it's on sale. Like that on sale sign.
Just keep saying it.
Constant conversation starter for us, or good time ender, if you will. I used to love malls because they provided me with another moment of joy, which was the video game arcade.
Yes.
And I could go in there, give me 3 quarters, and I'll see you in an hour. But now that those don't exist anymore, then the mall is just a place to go and just count the seconds till I'm out of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a place to go in the winter when it was like 20 degrees below zero. Nothing was going on. At least your friends were hanging out there a little bit. You could cruise the mall, I suppose. But yeah, here in the Midwest, there was some value to it, I guess. But you're right. The arcade was a place to hang out. The food court.
Oh, man, nothing better.
Split an Orange Julius.
The Orange Julius, and then the first Chinese restaurant in my hometown was the place at the food court in the mall, if you want to call that a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And when it first opened, I mean, you had to, the line went all the way down to like JCPenney.
Exotic.
It was incredibly exotic. It was like, they've got mustard that's hotter than a jalapeno.
But you're
very exciting.
You're in mall territory now. This is it, Minnesota, the land of malls, of course, Mall of America. as well. But malls are a whole different thing here. I've been to malls in other places. South Dakota, don't even get me. That's not a mall. I don't know what that is. That's a flea market and a double wide. But down south, probably not as big a culture because, you don't have the cold winters. But here, malls could be a hell of a lot of fun. There was a party vibe on the weekends.
The farther south you go, it's the exact opposite, though. The mall comes in very handy in the summer because you got a lot of people. You got people who want to walk or jog, and they open those doors at 6 a.m. so you can go get in a workout.
The power walkers.
Yeah, the power walkers who, would last 4 minutes outside with the humidity that you face down south. And speaking of the heat down south, firefighters, God bless them. I mean, where would we be without firefighters? We'd be in a lot more fires. I understand that is a very stressful job. It's a very difficult job. And that's a job where people at work literally get a little hot under the collar. Sometimes they get really hot under the collar at each other. I'll explain in a minute. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, May the 22nd. Good morning. Man, I tell you, there are a few folks in the world that I respect more and think more highly of than firefighters. Nothing trite or shticky about that. I mean, if you just take a minute and think about what their job is, sit around and wait for an alarm to go off for you to go rush into a burning building to help your community. That is the stuff of true heroes. So it's not a surprise to me to hear that sometimes things aren't always as hunky-dory at the firehouse as we might imagine. A lot of jobs, hell, I was in a band for years where we would go at each other. A lot of tension, and the occasional fists would fly. I've heard of people on the air at radio shows together hit the commercial break and they just start throwing hands. I mean, crazier things have happened. Sure,
especially when you talk about the band, set up there like firefighters. Anytime you imagine having to live with coworkers. You can, of course, but any one of us, you tooling along with us out there, living with your coworkers. Oh, yeah, things are going to get tense from time to time.
And their life could be in your hands at some point.
Right.
Very, very true. And when you are living with the people you work with, perspective is very hard to come by in very short order. I mean, the firehouse, somebody burns the, overcooks the pasta, and suddenly it's like, you're literally laying odds for who's going to win the fight. Occasionally on the scene, in the midst of a fire, though, things can go a little haywire. In Detroit, a firefighter was just arrested for fighting with one of his brethren at the scene of a fire. So they're fighting a fire and fighting each other. And again, I mean, this is like 2 a.m. Saturday morning, going into a burning house. It's a tough time. It's a tense situation, of course. And apparently the heat spilled over into a couple of firefighters. We've got some audio from a local news report from Detroit. In addition to the story being kind of wild, I mean, how do we even explain this one?
It's just, here he goes, and, you've said fire a couple of times, but this reporter got the word fire in his head. We've got a lot of firefighters in this story. We've actually put a little ding every time he says fire. So if you take a drink every time he says fire, but count along here.
Detroit firefighters, known as some of the best in the business at fighting fires, not fighting each other while also fighting fires. Detroit fire crews arrived quickly to a significant fire inside this home, and the firefighters got right to work. Something went wrong with a firefighter who comes from a Detroit firefighter family, where he allegedly assaulted a fellow firefighter as they're fighting the fire, to the point where the chief on the fire scene had to call Detroit police for help. We are told in his fire gear and all, officers arrested that firefighter and took him to the Detroit Detention Center.
You're standing in literally, not figuratively, literally a burning building, and you're like, okay, spray over there, and then the guy's like, I'm going to spray over here.
Maybe
at some point,
your buddy.
Maybe you spray your buddy.
Or
That's
maybe
very true.
It was the card game. Card games, they'll get you all worked up. If the alarm goes off, the 5-ringer there in the middle of a card game, you might take that argument with you, And maybe he jumped up from the card table and a card fell out of his sleeve.
Oh, man.
You're right on the
You
fire truck
dirty
going,
cheater.
You son of a...
Yeah,
Who
that's a pretty that's hairy stuff, man. Like, yeah, you got those simmering tensions, and you know, like if I'm just imagining the reality show where the KQ Morning Show moves into a house together, you know, it's like the simmering tension over someone cheating at cards or burning the noodles or whatever the hell it is, and then when we go to work, we just turn on the microphones and just start talking about a bunch of nonsense. They go to work and they're literally in a burning building.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That cheating at the card game, it's going to grow. It's going to just sit there seething in your central nervous system.
I'm sure they got it worked out.
I would hope so. I would certainly hope so. A gentleman in Nebraska walked into the DMV, a brand new DMV. I don't know if that means it's any better than the average DMV, but on Monday, a brand new DMV opened. I got to assume it's a little better. I mean, they would have the line situation be better. They probably have nice digital signs to make sure you go to the right place. Probably not too bad. Monday of this week, 2 days ago, a new DMV opens up in Lincoln, Nebraska. A gentleman walks in, 34-year-old man named Joseph Schrader, walks in carrying a bunch of fish and carrots.
Okay.
And he screams, something fishy is going on, and begins to throw fish and carrots everywhere.
Where do the carrots fit in?
Well,
something's carroty.
By the way, I don't know how many fish are involved, and I don't know how many carrots are involved. They say he caused $9,000 in damages to the brand new DMV.
Really? I mean, well, here's just a clip from the Lincoln Police Information Officer, Erica Thomas.
Looks like he had fish and carrots and said that something fishy was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, I'm with Tony. I
love
the carrot thing.
I love the idea that you're having to present that with a straight face. He had fish and carrots. He presented as something fishy's going on. Right. $9,000 in damages, mostly to the carpet and ceiling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to mess up the carpet. You get your nasty old dead fish in there.
Arrested for criminal mischief.
What's with the carrots? Yeah. Well, the carrot thing's really bugging me. I would have went, all right, we get it. Something's fishy. See what you're doing there. You're clever and weird and a psycho.
Yeah.
Well, what about the carrots? What's going on there?
Chips to go with the fish.
Yeah, what pairs with fish when doing when you want to do a little bit of damage at a DMV?
White wine.
There you go. Yeah, just a nice little Chardonnay.
Right.
Man. Probably second only to him on the what's the matter with you? In Florida, a man in Ocala stole a woman's car. Just, saw a car, was figured out. I don't know if she left her keys in it. I don't know how he did it, but he got into a car that belonged to a woman and drove away with it. And then he found out the woman's phone number, and then he called her to brag about having stolen her car.
Oh, you dick.
Yeah. Called her and was like, yeah, guess you're wondering what happened. I stole your car, batch. I mean, I imagine that's what he said. And then he left the vehicle at a Winn-Dixie. I guess he told her where she could find it. I mean, literally, like, I stole it and I'm not even keeping it. They went to the Winn-Dixie and found surveillance footage and pretty clear cameras, apparently. Figured out who he was within a matter of minutes. Picked him up.
Moron.
Yeah, seriously. I get wanting to go back to the scene of the crime sometimes. Criminals can't help themselves. They have to go see what the aftermath is. But there's no scene of a crime. The woman wasn't there. You stole her car. Let it go. What's with the calling to gloat?
Yeah, I mean, you're just nuts. You're out of your mind. I mean, they're going to track that stuff anyway. Now she's got your phone number, provided it was his phone.
Yeah.
And not going to be difficult to find, but he made it even easier than that.
Yeah, I just, you're smart enough to get away with it and not smart enough to keep your mouth shut. A classic story, if you will, of the criminal element among us.
I love it when they catch themselves, which seems to most often be the case, if we're reading about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a story here, too. This is my candidate for the week's most Canadian story imaginable. We like to at least have one a week.
Yeah.
And God bless our friends up north. I mean, look at all they're contending with. All that space, all those trees. They got a lot of different concerns than we do. In Ontario, there's just no way to describe. I just have to explain it as it happened. At 1 a.m. a couple nights ago, there was a crash reported on Highway 60 near Tea Lake. A vehicle, the report came in, has struck a moose. The vehicle left the roadway and then hit a tree. So that sounds pretty bad. 2 people were injured in that crash, one of whom had life-threatening injuries. So thankfully, EMTs were sent scurrying along to get to the scene. The officers responding to the first collision had just left another crash between a car and a moose. So it's their second car and moose story of the night.
They're all over the place.
They're in the ambulance. They're racing to crash number 2 when their ambulance, wait for it, strikes a moose.
No kidding.
Oh.
Yeah, that's 3 moose strikes in a night, including the ambulance.
Yeah, I'd say what are the odds, but in Canada, probably fairly high. Be like being up in, I don't know, Bemidji or something like that. They're all over the place. We've lost a little off our moose population, kind of coming back up north. But yeah, you'll run into a moose every once in a while. What in the hell?
I've seen a moose from a couple hundred yards away, and from a couple hundred yards away, it was huge.
Oh yeah,
they're monstrous.
What is happening? Are they attracted to the headlights at night? How are we not seeing moose until it's too late?
Well, they have signs in Canada, especially once you get out of the metro areas, that say, do not let the moose lick your cars, because they get salt on the cars, as we do here in Minnesota, driving around in the winter. And the moose, a lot of wildlife will come out to the highways. The snow gets very deep out there. Like big sheep will want the minerals off the road. The moose will want the minerals, the salt that's on the road. They need that. As we had livestock on the farm. You put out salt licks, big salt blocks. Just toss them out there. I may or may not have chipped a piece off from time to time. So I was a gross little farm kid. But yeah, so the moose will come up, and if you're at a 4-way stop out there, or for some reason had to pee, it'll come up and just start licking your car. So yeah, they do end up around the roadways. You got to be, I'd say, watching for moose, but they can't be hard to spot.
How do you stop them? Stop with the licking there, moose.
You just keep rolling, I guess. Wow. I don't know what tourists. They talk about tourists up there will stop and want to take a picture of the moose and let it lick their car, but they're like, no, that just only encourages them to come out to the roads, and we don't want that kind of behavior.
Give them a Tootsie Pop,
or else then you end up with your moose soup.
OMG.
Yeah.
The sight of a moose up close, I can't even imagine thinking anything other than just get away from me, Satan. Those things they're terrifying, and they don't have a look on their face like they're that bright to me. I think of moose as being kind of slow, just kind of, little thick upstairs.
Yeah, well, there was one.
Might not be true, but that's just how I see them.
A couple of days ago in Alaska, a photographer, a fairly well-known wilderness photographer, just killed by a cow. Their cow moose, the female moose, had a calf and just kicked him to death. Stomped him to death. That happened 2 days ago up in the Yukon.
Come down later for moose soup. You guys come down here after. I got moose soup and everything. Come down for moose soup after.
I love that lady.
And everything.
Yeah.
Lady?
What else goes with it?
Oh, yeah, that's a lady.
Oh, dirty son of a.
Haven't you guys heard the moose soup call?
I've never heard that. That just sounds something to me like that sounded like something I would have heard on Laugh-In. That's that voice.
Yeah, they have a big race up there called the Yukon 800 Riverboat Race. And she sits out there on the banks as it passes her house and watches these guys do the riverboat race. And one of them wrecked right in front of her house.
I think.
Here we go.
Oh, dirty son of a. Come down later for moose soup.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys come down here after. I got moose soup and everything. All right. You guys are doing good. Son of a. Hey, I got you on video. Dirty son of a. OMG. Gee, Raymond just lost a passenger.
Yeah, soup. Do you have an image in your head of what she looks like?
I do.
Yeah, that's what she looks like.
Yeah, Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Something like that. Going that way. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and text line. Do we have a caller right now? I can't tell.
Yeah, we do. Brent from Faribault wants to talk some moose.
Oh, Brent, bring it on. Good morning, Moose Man.
Good morning. How are you guys today?
Great. What have you got for us?
Well, I used to do a lot of fly-in fishing trips to Lookout, Ontario, which is, far north up there. it would be a deal where you drive all night so you could get there at 5 a.m. to hop the plane and get back to your lake. So we were driving between Kenora and Sioux Lookout, and it's probably 2 o'clock in the morning. We had 35 of them that had piled out in different times out onto the road. And they're so dark brown and there is literally no light pollution up there, so it's dark. And they don't show up until they're right in front of your vehicle. Oh. And we talked to people, why are all the moose out on the highway? And, not like a deer. They're just kind of milling around, standing around. And I guess the theory behind it is the mosquitoes and the bugs in the woods are so thick that they come out of that and they kind of get out into whatever clearing they can find. And if that's a highway, that's where they hang out.
Wow.
But they are not small, and you really don't see them until you are right on top of them. And we ended up adding about an hour to our drive because we were doing 35, 40 miles an hour because there was one every other mile that was standing on the road.
Just another reason why I live in a large, crowded urban environment. I just don't want to run into moose. You guys never did. Yeah, you never did hit one though.
No, I did. I missed one out in Jackson Hole. I was driving a Subaru for a rental car. I was skiing out there, and one of them flew out of the snowbank out in front of my car, and it was belly hair and legs is all I really saw. And to this day, I still don't have any idea how I didn't hit it. But all I could think of is that, this is 1,200 pounds landing on the roof of my car on a dead man.
Yeah.
There's no way of coming back from that one.
Come down later
they're impressive when you're up close to them.
I'm sure that's true. Brent, thank you for the call, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Yeah, they got a thing they call moose fever when guys will go out and hunt these things and then finally see one for the first time out in the wild. They just freeze. And they just can't pull the trigger. They're so freaked out about how big they are. Canadians being warned not to let moose lick their cars or trucks. Tour company rep says that salt is like crack to a moose. Yeah.
Like crack to a moose.
Yeah, they make.
Oh man, like crack to the moose. So are the days of our lives.
He talked about Jackson Hole. I think it was just this last winter, a bunch of skiers and snowboarders in Wyoming. I think one of the guys was from Minnesota, chased by a moose down the ski hill.
Moose, heads up. Moose, go, Ken. Go faster.
In the moment, more surprised, knowing that those types of animals can be very aggressive, especially out in the wild.
Usually moose are reacting defensively to the situation that they're in. It's not uncommon in areas where you have people recreating, especially even in big groups in these areas that moose are spending the whole winter in and getting their food there.
Yeah, all right. We get it.
Okay, fair enough. That guy mentioned on the phone, Brent mentioned that there's no light pollution up in Canada. There's a lot of pollution in a lot of places. You see these stories about there's like a Texas-sized island of floating plastic in the Pacific Ocean, literally the size of Texas. And that is horrifying, but not quite as horrifying as where scientists have found microplastics this week. I'll explain. Be prepared. It's not good news. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talkin' text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's May the 22nd. That was Dire Straits, a band who started off their career known as the Cafe Racers.
I like that.
It's okay, but Dire Straits is better to me. I think that's a better one. The Rolling Stones, they're one of those kind of douchebag bands where they got their name and stuck with it the whole time. I mean, once they got the lineup, they were always they were originally the Rollin' with an apostrophe in place of that G, Rolling Stones, and then shortly thereafter went to the Rolling Stones, and they are on the road as we speak for the Hackney Diamonds tour. And, of course, if you see the Stones, you're going to hear their most iconic hits, a few favorite deep cuts, and new music from Hackney Diamonds, a sterling album from 2023. We want to send you to see them. How about that? One winner will score a trip for two to Vancouver. That includes round-trip air, 2 nights hotel, and tickets to a show on July 5th. Text the national keyword, Mick, M-I-C-K, to 95819 now to enter for a chance to win.
What do you text?
Mick!
And by the way, this is my favorite part of the morning. This is when the KQ Talking text line starts receiving a lot of texts that say, Mick!
Yeah.
The
Oh,
wrong number. You're not entered.
I just assume that's like when someone says to Keith Richards, who's the biggest douchebag you ever met? Mick! Oh, the yin and yang love and hate between Mick and Keith is a beautiful thing, is it not?
Well, it's cooked up a hell of a lot of great music over the years.
Speaking of love and hate, we all have a love and hate relationship with plastic because where would we be without plastic? I mean, it's a part of our life. It's everywhere. It's made our lives so much easier. But as I mentioned before the break, there is a literal Texas-sized island of floating plastic in the Pacific Ocean. Plastic has gotten everywhere. You can't go anywhere in the world without seeing plastic pollution. And now there's something called microplastics. I mean, like the tiniest little, pieces of plastic that have broken down, microparticles, and people find them everywhere in clogged arteries. Blue whales have baby poop. The wilderness of Antarctica, they find microplastics right up at the peak of Mount Everest and at the bottom of the ocean. Microplastics have been found everywhere. Researchers at the University of New Mexico, though, have gone to the final frontier and discovered microplastics in every sample they investigate of human testicular tissue.
Testicles.
I don't know how your balls feel right now, but mine are feeling a little clogged up now that I know there's microplastics in there.
Want that
They're
in
everywhere.
there?
Now, how do you test for that?
Well, first of all, you got to die.
Oh, okay.
So they got it. They're testing.
Yeah,
they're getting. What do you call them? Corpses, whatever. They're getting, scientific bodies donated to science.
I have donated my testicles.
And they are, that's
only
very decent of you. They're finding the plastic polymer they're finding the most in human testes is polyethylene. That's used in plastic bags, plastic bottles, and, of course, a major contributor to the overall pollution problem. So anyway, guys, if you're feeling a little, plasticky in the ball sack, there's a good reason for it.
Yeah, I mean, gosh.
That old excuse.
So is it bad? I mean, it's got to be bad to have plastic in your testes, right?
I'm withholding judgment. You know what I mean? I haven't noticed any real issues with my plastic-laden nutsack, so I'm assuming I'm just going to keep on going about my business as is.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm pretty much done with mine now anyway. I mean, they do serve a purpose. They came as a set. I'd like to keep them, but, I'm not having any more kiddos.
Yeah.
If I was a little bit younger, I guess I'd be worried about this. But, yeah, that damn plastic thing in the nuts.
Speaking of great original band names, Plastic Laden Nutsack. That's a good one. Put that on the list.
Not bad.
One last one, though, I will share with you as far as original band names goes. The band Creed.
Oh, yeah.
Their original name, I don't think they ever performed under this name, but this was the moniker they were going to go with.
No, it's bad.
Naked Toddler.
Yeah, naked toddler.
Oh,
guys,
you lost me big time.
Well, I mean, good on you for going with Creed. I mean, I'll never think twice about that band name again. I can promise you.
Right.
Minnesota Timberwolves tip off tonight, Western Conference Finals, and in attendance will be a gentleman by the name of Mitsuaki Ono. Mitsuaki Ono will be attending the game. He is flying in from Japan.
Bring your ass, Mitsuaki.
He has been a season ticket holder for pretty much since their inaugural season in 1989. Here's the deal. He lived in Rochester for 2 years while in junior high with his family. They moved back to Japan. No, I'm sorry. He was here in 89 when the Timberwolves were brand new. They moved back to Japan, and then 20 years ago, when the Wolves made a deep playoff run, he actually purchased season tickets. Lives in Japan and has season tickets for 20 years to the Timberwolves.
Wow. That's
once or twice a year, he does the 6,000-mile round trip. The 6,000-mile trip from Tokyo to Minnesota. to see a game or two at the Target Center. He was at Game 7 in Denver last week.
Okay, I mean,
got into the game.
I'm just thinking that's a lot of seasons. I could see if it was somebody like the Lakers or, just somebody that keeps putting them up, maybe the Pacers the last 10 years or something. But, I mean, he's been sitting through a hell of a lot of seasons, paying a lot of dough for those tickets, and then a lot of dough for a big trip over for the Timberwolves, which is now exciting, but,
I'm not seeing anything. I've seen several stories about this man and his loyalty to the team through thick and mostly thin.
Yeah.
I've yet to see the words "lost a bet" or a female friend. None of those words have been any. So I think this is a guy who just genuinely loves those damn Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, and if he's just batching it, you've got yourself your disposable income. That's the way you want to spend your money, and you dig the team. All the power to you, my man.
I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years. Bring your ass.
He didn't sound Japanese, did he?
Hang on, I'm Googling "bring your ass" in Japanese.
I will say this, while you're Googling "bring your ass" in Japanese, I did the Jameson Global broadcast over in Dublin in 2011 and 12.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and there were 20 radio stations there from all over the world, and nearby was one from Tokyo, Japan. And they come, one of the Jameson handlers approaches me and says, the Tokyo station would like to interview you. And I said, no, I look like a movie star, but I'm not. No, I said, I'm just a DJ in Minneapolis. They said, yeah, they want to talk to the DJ in Minneapolis. Okay, I'll bite. I'm half drunk. I wander over to their table, and all they wanted to talk about was the Timberwolves. And I kept saying, Vikings, Twins, something. See, I wasn't following the Timberwolves back in 2011 and 12 either. And I felt bad because they kept shouting out players' names. I'm like, yeah. I just nodded a couple of times. And I think I told them something about the Vikings. They seemed to be kind of pleased. And I'm sure they were just calling me every idiot name in Japanese that I couldn't understand.
What would you travel that far for once or twice a year to take in? I mean, is there a team? Is there a musical artist? If they were only playing live shows in Japan, you had to go. Is there anything you can think of that you would think it would be worth spending that much time, that much effort, that much money to get back and forth to a couple times a year?
Well, I mean, I want to visit Japan. That's a place I'd like to go and visit. So give me a good reason and enough dough in my pocket, and I'll make it happen. But so if the Steelers were there, you mean would I? If the Steelers were just playing in Japan, that would be odd. But let's roll with it.
Okay, sure.
Oh,
that's bring your ass.
That was
nice.
That sounded nice.
Bring your ass.
Yeah, very different. What an elegant language they have. We have.
Bring your ass.
So much prettier.
Yeah, that literally translates to, if you please, your ass would be most welcome in our friendly community. Feel free to bring your ass with the rest of your body to our wonderful family environment.
Or
bring your ass.
Honestly, I got a soft spot for bring your ass myself.
Yeah, me too.
We can all. Hey,
would you? But you've traveled, haven't you? Gone over there? You dig on the soccer and all things sports. I think for the most part.
Yeah.
But you've hopped the pond.
I did. Well, last year, my son and I flew to London specifically to see an Arsenal match. Yes, that's true.
All right.
But that's not like a. That's not like a once or twice every year season ticket thing. It was. That was his first time doing that, and I hadn't been to a match in 10 years. This guy's like 2-3 times a year making the round trip and purchasing those season tickets for 20 straight years.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he gives them away or has friends that use them or he sells them for something. But still, that is one hell of a commitment. I would imagine because he's gotten a lot of attention. During the game tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if they got to at least put him on the Jumbotron, right?
They got to do it.
Give him his moment.
Yeah, I saw Maury Glover had him on last night on Fox 9 on the news.
Oh, nice.
They probably got some other coverage, but they did a piece on him, so he's on the radar for the Timberwolves. Oh, yeah, they'll do something for him, I would think. At least, run him down some of those chicken nuggets.
Yeah, let's say something at least. We can all travel downtown Friday night. Check this out. The team is back with the old block party vibe going on downtown. Game 1 tonight, and then again Friday night for Game 2. They're kicking off. They're saying they're activating downtown. The block party that'll happen Friday. This is just that thing you see on TV for people that don't have tickets to the game. Around the Target Center, there's just going to be a lot of there's DJs, food trucks, restaurants in the area. Everybody's out on the patios. There's going to be large screens to watch the game. All kinds of stuff. A bunch of vendors turning out with trucks. It's just a giant block party. You have to get online ahead of time, timberwolves.com/block party. But a great way for fans who aren't going into the game to all hang out and take it in that regard. That's kind of fun, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of thing that I would have been an automatic for at one time in my life.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, but I think I'm just going to get a bunch of comfort food and load up in the recliner for that. What time's tip-off? Do we know?
7:30.
Tonight, 7:30.
7:30. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Is that, would that be Central Time? Or
that's Central Time, Daddy-O.
Possibly be, all right.
No,
you can do it.
I can do what? Nap all day and watch the game all night? You're damn right I can. I've been doing it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, maybe they'll be up by 30 at halftime and I can go to bed.
That would be nice. I tell you what, you want to get it. You don't want to lose at home, and you definitely don't want to lose at home in game one. So,
what is it going to be? About 65 at tip-off tonight? Oh, here, looking at the forecast, it's going to be a beautiful evening, low humidity, light breeze, and 62. It says here at tip-off.
Yeah. Oh man, perfect.
Bingo, bullseye.
Perfect. Okay, we talked earlier, and I just have to go backwards a little bit. Band's original name versus the name they ended up with.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a band that was. This is on a Rolling Stone article. A band originally started out as the Rainbow Butt Monkeys. Never heard of that, of course. But then they changed their name into Finger 11, another band name I've never heard of.
Yeah, no. Finger 11. Yeah, they had that one hit. Was it in the 90s when they were cranking out a lot of one-hit wonders? And it was, I know it was big at the clubs in the time. I was hitting the clubs.
No idea. Never heard of them.
Paralyzer,
that's the one.
Okay. Lamb of God, a speed metal band from Richmond, Virginia, who are, I know one of the guitar players, great guy, Mark Morton. Their original name that they did perform songs under the name Burn the Priest.
Oh, okay.
Easy.
Well,
that's not nice.
I mean, the Priest did a little burning in their days. Back, medieval. But yeah, that
could be true.
Maybe they were altar boys. I know it's dark. We don't need to go there.
Yeah, that's very true. Robert Downey Jr. is in town. Charles Barkley's in town. The Dallas Mavericks are in town. Pretty special time in Minneapolis right now as our Timberwolves go into the Western Conference Finals. I'm just going to go ahead and call my shot right now since no one's asked. Timberwolves in 6.
Go Wolves.
And you know what? I actually think it'll be in 5, but I'm going to say 6 so I don't sound like a knucklehead. and I'm not overlooking the fact that Dallas was playing some incredible defense in that season in the series against OKC, and they have 2 players who, at their best, will be the 2 best players on the court. Jokic and Kyrie are phenomenal, but I just don't think they have the depth. As long as our defensive intensity stays anywhere close to what it was when it was turned on against Denver, I think this will be I'm saying 6. I'm actually thinking it could be 5. I'll be the guy crying when we lose in 4 next week. Either way, I'm damn sure gonna enjoy it. Make no mistake about that.
All right, I've heard 2 solid picks at 6. So yeah, that sounds good to me.
Anybody else? Anyone else want to throw it out there before they've tipped off?
I'm gonna say Timberwolves in 3.
That a boy
actually taps out.
They fold out. That you know
Dallas
what?
Just says that's it. We're done. And guess what? You can have the Stars back.
From your lips to God's ears. Tony, what do you got?
I think they just had so much fun. They're not going to play any more games. Just enjoy their moment.
Yeah, they're just going to be out there in the plaza having a good time.
I think he nailed it. In 6 is a good call.
All right.
Tony, you're like the kid at that famous Miami Heat playoff game when the team's walking off the court and he's going, "Good job, guys. Good effort. Good job, guys. Good effort." It's like LeBron and Dwayne Wade. They're looking up like, "Good. What the hell?" Just giving them a little pep talk. That was beautiful. All right, so let's go, Wolves. Hopefully we come on tomorrow morning and we're all drunk with Timberwolves fever. Right now, though, it's time to look back. On this day in the year 2003, Steve McNair, the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, he was arrested and charged with drunk driving and illegal possession of a handgun, was released on $3,000 bond. Now, I was a huge fan of Steve McNair even before I was a Titans fan.
Yeah.
And I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but the word in Nashville, Tennessee for years, every cop in the city knew his home address because they were constantly pulling him over. And then one cop would say, let me drive you home. And then his partner would follow him home. They protected that guy forever. And when they finally had to pop him for DUI, they were like, Steve, come on. How many times is it going to take? I mean, my man was an amazing warrior on the field, and he was living large off. I miss you, Steve McNair. You know, hell of a ball player, man. Just an absolute beast on the field. On this day in 2003, Nike signed LeBron James to a $90 million endorsement deal, which was kind of weird since he was in high school. High school kid, $90 million. And while we're thinking about how crazy that is, the craziest thing is LeBron never went crazy.
Yeah.
He's not Britney Spears. He's not an 18-year-old with $90 million. You would expect he's not like one of the Coreys. You know, he's not some child star who just disappeared from reality the minute that check cleared.
Like 99% of people would be if you gave them $90 million at age 18.
Yes. Imagine how nutty you'd act if you got $90 million today. Now go back to being 18. The guy has, by all accounts, he's literally that guy. I mean, and I'm not a huge fan. I mean, he's an amazing basketball player, without doubt. He can get a little passive aggressive. He bitches at the refs. He bugs me a little. Yeah. But off the court, my God, I mean, what a flawless performance as being like this really famous guy with all the money on earth. I mean, seriously, props to LeBron for that.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.